All right, join me as we make a dust jacket for the book I had started to rebind on this channel. It is Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change our measurement to be in centimeters, and then I'm going to realize that I actually want it to be not in centimeters. I want it to be in inches, so I put in that height in centimeters, and then I realized I need the width to actually be 20 inches, so I'm going to quickly adjust that. And then I'm going to see that it automatically created the height to be the right size now that I have changed it, so I am just updating the width. Now we will have a Canva design, specifically the width of a 16 by 20 inch poster, because we want to take advantage of the full space we have, and then we will have it the height of our book. Here I am figuring out what it takes 4 centimeters to be in inches for the width of our spine, because I had measured everything in centimeters initially, but now we're going to be doing this in inches. So here I'm just going to make it be in the center, and that will be my little box I'll use to indicate where the spine will be. And I'm now trying to do some math, which is why it will take a second, for what will be the extra space I have for the 2 end flaps. I like to have a thicker end flap, so I will use all of the 20 inches or as much space as I can. So I just have to figure out exactly what space I have for each of those end flaps, and there'll be 2 squares. So I gotta figure that out. Once I have that math, though, I can switch to adding those squares at the sides and just measure them out to be the right distance. And like I said, I like them pretty large, so they are going to look pretty large, especially compared to the main covers, but that's also going to bend over the side, so it's not going to look as large comparatively whenever you're seeing it. Next, what I'm going to do is go ahead and search for some fan art for this book. I'll admit I have not read it, so I don't really know how accurate this fan art is, but I like to try and find some ideas for what I could be putting on the back cover. I like to play around with different styles, and also I can use these later on. You'll see I'll use them for the end flaps and spine color choices too. So when I first find one I like, I'll just paste it in here. And then I'm going to go back and I am going to try and find some cover versions for the front part, and I have already seen the one that I ripped off, so I know I don't want to use that again because I didn't really love the cover, which is part of why I chose to rebind it in the first place. And I am liking this one though, so I think I'm going to copy it. And we'll go back to Canva and paste that as our front cover. And here I know that this space should be the proper size, but I'm just going to confirm that as well. And since I had to make it a little bit larger, I just went ahead and moved it underneath that flap. And then I'll move this one up. And now we have a general front part and a back part. But from here, I'm not really liking that it says the book that Scott Westerfeld has made before, the Ugly series. So I'm just going to make a blank box and fill it with that color choice there. So now it will just say Scott Westerfeld's Afterworlds. I, in past, have used this method to help cover some of the now on HBO or now a Netflix picture stickers because I really dislike that they're on everything now. Next, what I'll be doing is trying to figure out a bit about what else I want to include on this end page. Sometimes, depending on the back image, I will include the blurb of the book. Sometimes I won't. We'll see. And then right now I'm thinking I'm going to include Scott Westerfeld's bio on the front end flap. I would have preferred an image where you can see his full head, but for some reason, those are really hard to find. So we don't have one of those from what I can find. And I'm just going to go to his bio on his website to see if I like that about section. But I'll be honest, this is very long and not kind of the about the author I want to include on a dust jacket. Sometimes they'll be exactly what I want and sometimes it won't be. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to look on Amazon for a book by him or just his name in general. And once I find one by him, I can go to his author page, which I can read the full bio here. This is much shorter, and I think this would be fine to use on a dust jacket, so I'm just going to copy it. And I'm going to paste that on my front end flap, which is right next to the Afterworlds cover. Here I'm going to play around with some sizing and font styles. I think I actually end up keeping this font style in the end, but I normally would go through and make it be end to end, but I end up choosing that I don't really like that, so we're going to change it up. And then I just kind of align it the best I see fit, and I am going to end up having to copy this picture of his face without his full head because I can't seem to find a different version. For some reason, when I paste this, it includes a little extra white space, so I'm just going to remove that and make it just his face because I want it to blend in with my background color, whatever I end up choosing. And I'm trying to line this up here. Canva, one of the reasons why I like to use it is because it will provide guides based off of where other images are, which is helpful. Now I'm going to go ahead and create the spine. Sometimes I'll choose to include the author's name, sometimes I won't. It just really depends on how I'm feeling. Here I'm going to try and play around with a little bit of different font choices to see what I can find that best matches that font that's on the front cover. And I'm liking this one, and I'm going to make it 90 degrees so it's the right direction on my spine. And again, this is where I like Canva. Those guides are really helpful. But you can see it being a little funny because of the bottom space. So I have to readjust it. And then I'm looking at it and I'm realizing it's a little bit more squished together than I want. So one of the things you can do is change that on Canva, which is again a benefit of using Canva. I am using Canva free right now. In the future, I might be considering upgrading to Canva Pro, but I haven't yet because it is a cost and I'm already spending plenty of money trying to create these books in a way that I like and getting the right cover materials. But I'm liking how this is looking. Now I'm just trying to play around with how the spacing is. But this is looking good so far. One thing I'm going to include is my converted to hardback by Tilly Reed's little sign. I've made this in the past, so here I'm just going to a different dust jacket I made and I'm copying it so I don't have to reformat it or deal with it at all, which is really handy. So I'm just going to paste it in and it's going to go right where I want it to be. And I'm realizing that I had not named this document, so I did go ahead and name it. And now we're going to be figuring out what color I want these blocks to be. One of the benefits of Canva is you can just choose a color, and I'm playing around with these orange colors in this dress here because I used orange in the in pages on the book, so I wanted to play around with that there. And I think that is where I'm going to leave it for now. I'm not totally in love with this, but we will see what ends up happening.
Hello. Okay, so I have gotten lots of great advice. Unfortunately, I have already started things since I've gotten that advice, so some of the advice will not come into play until later on. But to get started, I want to show you what I've got for the rebind I last showed, and I'll finish up showing that dust jacket I made at the beginning of this video. So in our book press, we have the completed rebind of Afterworlds by Scott Westerfield. For this rebind, I did actually make some book cloth, so I'll talk about how I made some in a different video. This was my mistake book cloth, but I decided I didn't want to just let it be a mistake, so I still used it. In real book cloth, I should have ironed it better so it doesn't have a bubble, but it does, and it's okay. This is a learning process. I am definitely learning as I'm going, and I'm going to have mistakes, and I'm just accepting that as part of the process. I was going to initially use some foiling because I have a foil quill on the book cloth, but after doing some testing, I found that it just didn't really want to take to this fabric very well, so instead I used some paint pens that I have, and I used orange and black together. And I didn't want to put the author on this, so I didn't. I just wanted to make it a very simple, plain cover. And like I said, this is a tester. This was my first time doing book cloth, so I've learned a bit better about how my edges are going to be. But I'm still pretty proud of how this turned out. I did remember to add the headbands on it this time. And one of the things I got for advice was to make my overhang of my end pages smaller. Or technically you're not supposed to have it at all, but I do find that I like having overhang because it definitely makes it easier to open this up wider. But I am going to, in the future, make that be smaller. But you can see when I open it, it has that overhang. And this one, it looks like it didn't glue as well as I wanted it to. That's okay. It's a learning journey. How many times am I gonna say that today? I'm still pretty proud of how the actual book cloth itself ended up looking, besides the fact that it has the bubble. And so now that I have admired this enough, let me show you a bit about the end result for the dust jacket. I ordered a 16 by 20 inch print from FedEx. It's their smallest poster print, and you can get that done same day. 16 by 20 print will have some extra space on the top and bottom, and so we're gonna have to cut that off today. But like I said in my video earlier already, I measured out the height, so it should be the right height for the book. My desk is very much a mess today, so I apologize if the noise is not great. One thing about a 16 by 20 inch is it's actually bigger than my mat, so I will cut part of it, then move it over, and then cut some more. Also, I don't know if you noticed it when I just showed it, but this is a different dust jacket than I originally showed. I ended up choosing some different fan art because I just really liked how this looked. And so I adjusted the orange to be a little bit closer to this orange and the other fan art. Otherwise, it's the same process that you saw already. So I will just be using my metal ruler and my X-Acto knife for trimming this white off of the edges of this book. I will say it would definitely be easier if I did not have to slide my picture on the mat. So if this is something you're interested in getting into in the future, maybe look into getting a bigger mat. But we have one side off. And just because I'm paranoid, I am going to double check that this is the right height. And yeah, that looks perfect, which is exactly what I wanted. Now I'm just going to flip it the other way. All right, and we got another end done. When I went to print this, I did choose to have it printed on glossy paper. I just think that looks nicer. You can do whatever paper you like better. And when it comes to the way I do my dust jackets is I just like to fold only the end flaps. I don't know what these are actually called. I'm calling them end flaps. I don't know what their proper name is. I don't like to fold the spine just because I like the little bit of roundiness that we'll leave it with. But again, this is your project. You do you. So I'm just going to line that up and use my bone folder. Awesome. Now we have our end flaps and we're just going to put it right around the book. You can see I might have done that a little bit wrong, but it's okay. We're learning, we're learning, we're learning. I definitely did not give enough space for the spine is what I'm learning. So I'm just going to redo the bend here for a different part of it. Ugh. How did I mess that up? Elena. Well, what I learned is I somehow did not make this front cover big enough, which then took off the spine, which then took even more off the back. So again, it's a learning process. I messed it up again, but I can't believe I just didn't measure this front cover the right size. Oh well, I think I know what I did though. I measured it for the chipboard, but not including the spine gap, which I should have thought to think about, but I didn't, which is why my spine got messed up. I'm still really happy with it and I will still happily take this. So learning progress and one completed bind. Hello again, this is Elena from the future. I am editing the video, but I decided that I actually am going to be giving this away. So if anyone's interested in a slightly messed up rebind, mostly it's just the dust jacket that's messed up, other than with the back you have to kind of pop the chipboard into the right spot because otherwise the glue's a little loose there. But otherwise the book is totally fine. So if anyone's interested in this book, let me know. And on the off chance more than one person is interested, please just be subscribed to my YouTube channel and follow my Instagram, which is also Tilly Reads Books. And I will pick a winner. Ideally, someone will be interested in this. I don't have enough space for it on my shelf that this would belong to. So I will send this off to you and just send you a message for whoever wins. And I really appreciate everyone who has been following and giving advice so far. I'll try and remember to tag the person who gave me some advice that I mentioned earlier below. And also just thanks for joining me as I learn a bit about rebinding and binding books in the first place, and as I give you reviews every now and then, I guess. Thanks for following, and like and subscribe below. Thanks.